This is easily the oddest thing that happened to me in ages. I work the night shift at a warehouse. Won't disclose which one because it's irrelevant. Anyway, I was heading home around 3 a.m. My place is out in the rural outskirts, up in the hills, about half a mile from the main road. As I was cruising along the smooth road, it suddenly turned into dirt. The moment my wheels hit the dirt, I got this eerie feeling of being watched. Usually, I wouldn't mind because it's common to spot wildlife eyeing you as you drive. But this time, as I reached my usual parking spot, I pulled out my trusty pocket knife from the glove box and got out of the car. My attention immediately focused on a dark patch of woods across the road. Call it intuition or whatever, but something in me urged to check it out. So, there I was, calmly holding up my knife and saying, "I know you're there." Strangely, as soon as those words left my mouth, everything went silent. Even the nearby waterfall, about 5,600 feet away, stopped its usual sound. It stayed that way for about 10 seconds, and then the noise returned, accompanied by the sound of something running away. Without panicking, I kept my knife by my side and strolled towards the house. It just felt like running would be a terrible idea. Upon entering, I noticed that the usual doggy welcoming committee was absent. Both of them were in the living room, gazing out the window in the same direction I felt that mysterious presence. I didn't mention anything to my partner, who was fast asleep and doesn't buy into paranormal stuff like I do, thanks to my ancestral background. I grew up with my family's stories and heard local tales of mythical creatures. But since that night, I've never sensed that same presence again. No clue what it could have been, but I'm certain it wasn't just your typical critter roaming around my place. A lot of peculiar and supernatural events tend to unfold in my family, especially on my dad's side. However, this is the story of the one time I encountered a ghost. Back when I was around 7 or 8 years old, I shared a rather tall bunk bed with my buddy. We had a habit of leaving the door wide open while we slept, just in case anything strange happened. Making it easy for our guardians to hear us ended up being a wise decision this time. I had this strange habit of waking up in the middle of the night, precisely when everything was pitch black. On this particular night, something felt off. I made what turned out to be the worst mistake of my young life. I peeked out from under the covers. Just to set the scene, I slept on the top bunk, about 5 feet above the ground. As I glanced out, I saw a person, but he looked completely off. He was glowing green, sort of blurry, and dressed in clothing from a historical era. Strangely, he appeared to be either floating or towering at about 8 feet tall. This eerie figure stared straight into the depths of my soul. The shock hit me so hard that I let out a scream that jolted my guardians and my buddy awake. As soon as they entered the room, the mysterious person faded away right before my eyes. They reassured me it was just a nightmare and urged me to go back to sleep. Even today, I still find myself waking up in the pitch-black night, but now I quickly try to drift back into slumber without opening my eyes. The odd occurrences persist in my life. Sometimes they're peculiar, sometimes fascinating. When I was a little kid, like 6 or 7, my family and I lived in a fun apartment in a busy neighborhood. One day, while my family was making breakfast downstairs, I played in the playroom with my teddy bear gang. All of a sudden, I heard a little boy's voice from the closet asking, "Want to play with me?" It surprised me. I thought it might be a friend playing tricks, but when I checked, no one was there. I called out, asking, "What do you look like?" No answer. I hurried downstairs to tell my mom. Over the years, I've tried to figure it out. Maybe it was my little sister, but she was with my mom. Maybe a friend, but no one was there. Or maybe a problem with my teddy bear. My yellow teddy bear? Never talked without a squeeze. I still have him in my room, and he's been quiet ever since. I told myself it was just my imagination, but who really knows for sure? I've got a wild story from when I stayed over at my buddy Alex's house. His room was massive, with 3 beds all squished in there for him, his brother, and his sister, Mia. So, we're all fast asleep, and around 4:30 in the morning, Mia heads to the bathroom for a shower since she's got to be up early. I'm just lying there, minding my own business, when suddenly I see someone waving at Mia. First, I think it's Alex goofing around, but when I look closer, it's not him. Instead, it's this little kid in a floaty dress, hovering right above Mia. I'm just 10 years old, so you can bet I freaked out. I dive under the covers, my heart pounding like crazy. After a while, I peek out from under the blanket, and she's just gone. Like, vanished into thin air. Now that I'm 15, there's no way I'm walking around Alex's house by myself at night. That spooky night still gives me the jitters.